Before we get into today's Czech Pirc Defense video, I did want to mention I have an over 6-hour online course on the Czech Pirc Defense, really covering how to play the Czech Pirc Defense at a high level. And if you're interested in a 30% off discount code for that course, I'm offering one until the end of this year. All you got to do, go down to the pinned comment, go down to the description below, and plug in the discount code 2024, and you will receive 30% off on my Czech Pirc Defense course or any other course that I made on the platform. Today we're going to be going over a bullet game that I played against an international master, in which case I went with the Czech Pirc Defense. I'm just going to come out and say it, right? It's bullet chess. So really when you're playing bullet chess, you don't really have that much time at all to calculate. You're really more pressing into your prep in terms of your opening theory and your opening ideas, and pushing more into your intuition more than your calculation, right? Because you just don't have time. So both sides here make mistakes, very common for a bullet game, but I do think it's instructive, and I do think it shows mistakes that both sides in an opening like this can make, so I thought I'd share it. So in the game here we have e4, I end up going with d6, knight f6, and the move of c6, the Czech Pirc Defense. I love this move, one of my favorite openings in all of chess. This move does a few different things, but one of them is, look, it gives this queen leverage to play queen c7, queen b6, putting pressure on d4 and b2, or playing queen a5 and really trying to pin that knight to the king. Now, against f4, in my over 6-hour course, I recommend this move of queen a5, pinning that knight to the king, threatening knight takes e4, and also prepping this e5 push that we want to pull off if we can get that done. Now, against the moves of bishop e3 and bishop g5 in the course, I'm a big fan of this move of queen b6. Now, the most common move on online chess, guys, all ratings, all time controls, guys, it's only move 5. It's only move 5 in the game. The most common move in online chess is white going, you know what, I'm going to take off that knight. And black's already better because the queen takes b2. If your opponents are making a mistake on move 5, that shows you they don't really know what the heck they're doing with your opening, right? The Czech Pirc Defense is sound, it's strong, and it's underrated because it's not played very often. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. I'm a big fan of it. So in this case, we are down material. We're down 2 points of material. We're down a piece for our pawn, but white has 2 pieces hanging. And honestly, the best thing white can do is just go, you know what, I made a mistake, and I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm down a pawn of material. However, if white tries to hang on to the material, maybe we see bishop takes g7, trying to get something for the bishop and then save them. Oh, we just take the knight with check. And your bishop's still going to fall. If we see knight a4, right, and then white goes, you know what, I'm gonna take on g7. By the way, before we get into that, if you do see knight a4, don't play check. Then c3, white gets tempo on your queen, and the knight's defended, and then they can save their bishop. So don't do that. Play queen a3. Now c3. This doesn't come with tempo at all, so we're just going to take the bishop. But if the bishop does go, you know what, I'm going to try to get something for my, it makes sense. I mean, in chess, that's what if I'm usually going to lose a piece, I usually try to get something for the piece and then keep playing. But in this case, we capture back. You do save your knight, but only for a moment. b5, the knight's trapped. We're winning. So in the game here, we have queen d2, a much better move. A lot of different things that white can go with there. In the course, we cover ideas like, rook to b1, queen to d2. We cover this move of a3, right? And against a3, please don't take the pawn, because a knight a4 and your queen is trapped. Not good. Not good at all. So, a lot of different things that we can see here. But queen d2 is played in the game. I end up going, I'm going to snatch off that pawn, play queen a3, drop my queen back to a5, get it back in the action, knight bd7. Here in this case, h6 or e5 are both playable. I ended up going with e5, and according to the engine, black does have an advantage here. White takes, we capture back. Now, in terms of pawn structure, this is a very common setup for black in this kind of opening. We're really doing a great job of covering both dark square and light squares with both of our pawns on the e and c files. And it's going to be hard for white to take advantage of this d file because of it. We just have things very well covered. Every single one of these squares is covered by at least one pawn or piece of ours. So f4 is playing the game, and your opponents, they'll often do this kind of thing. Now, obviously, this is bullet chess, but I am playing against an international master, and a lot of your opponents, especially depending on your level, will just forget that this is a very nice diagonal for us going forward. In this case, queen c5, black's winning. We snatch off the bishop. We're up 4 points of material. We're up 4 points. Now, of course, it's bullet chess, so the finish here isn't the cleanest it could have been. I ended up taking on e4. What I should do is just follow my own advice that I talk about in the course. If white ends up taking all the time on e5, reroute, play knight g4. You can take on e5. If queen f4 here or something, for example, we take on e5, the knights are very solid, both protecting each other. And because of that, f7 is solid. And this bishop has good scope. So completely winning. We're just up 4 points of material. White's attack is not going to work if we play good defensive chess. But instead of play knight takes e4, this gives white the opportunity to play queen f4. Now if I move my knight somewhere, like taking the knight or something, I lose my queen. So this is a little bit troubling. I end up holding on to the knight, and now my opponent plays rook b4. Very nice idea, right? At least a very you know, sharp idea. According to the engine, taking on e4 is the engine move there. But yeah, I mean, rook b4. The whole idea here, look, if I take the rook, oh, game over. Game over, right? If I move my queen to e6, that's okay. But at the end of it, you know, white does have, you know, some good activity here, and it's going to be hard for black to hold this, especially in a bullet game. So I went, you know what? And by the way, guys, I spent 6 seconds on this. So, you know, not that much time, although in a bullet game, that's 10% of your clock. So it felt like a long time here. I ended up throwing in a check on f2. That turned out to be a mistake. The best move I could have went with was actually knight g3 with check, which was my idea. My idea is like, look, I'm going to lose a knight. Let me try to trade off queens. Let me try to go into the endgame up a pawn. If white wants to take with the h pawn or knight or what, okay, we'll take, right? If the rook takes, bishop e6 is very solid. We could also just fork the rook and the bishop, snatch that thing off, and then we're better here. I mean, we're winning, actually. We're up a pawn. We have a bishop pair against 2 knights, and every single one of white's pawns is isolated. This is horrible for the white side. And if the queen captures back, okay, I take the rook now we're fine. We're fine. f7's not attacked. If you want to try to attack it or something, all right, bishop e6. You're just, I'm sorry, you're not breaking through that as white. So, you know, again, knight g3 there was the way to go. Now, instead I played knight f2. The reason this is a mistake is because white could have captured with the queen and stayed on this file. I should have made it so that at least if the queen had to take, the queen had to get off the file, but the queen was able to stay on the file, and now I can't take the rook. And if I play queen e6, rook f4, triple battery ram against my pawn. This is losing. But my opponent, you know, I mean, they only spent 3 seconds here. They missed that. I ended up snatching off the queen, playing bishop e6. Again, knight e6 there is better, forking the rook and the bishop, and, you know, snatching off that bishop. But okay, we have bishop e6, and we're still winning here. I mean, bishop e7, g5, and the rest of the game here, there's not too much to talk about. As you can see here, not a lot of time on the clock for either side. We're just kind of scrambling, trying to, you know, beat each other on the clock. And I'm also winning this position, but, you know, bullet chess is largely the clock, sometimes more than it is the board. I'm not going to say overall it's more than the board. It's still a game of chess, but I've won many games with the clock and bullet chess when I'm dead losing, and I've been winning in a lot of games that I've lost due to the clock, right? So, but obviously when you have all these pieces, it's just a lot easier to pre-move, and at this point I realize I can just throw up my pawn to d1 and the game's over. Okay, so overall, hope you got something out of this when it comes to the Czech Pirc Defense. Great option for black. Yeah, if you do end up going with queen b6, queen takes b2, you do got to play some very dynamic defensive chess. But if you're able to hang on there, you're going up the endgame up a pawn. And white has pawns on c2 and a2 that become that much more weak because there's not a b pawn there anymore. So let me know what you thought of this video down below. Let me know what you think of the Czech Pirc Defense. Let me know, you know, when you do see a move like bishop e3, bishop g5, what do you go with? Do you play a move like e5? Do you play knight bd7? Have you tried queen b6? If you haven't, try it out. Let me know how it goes. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video, and just a quick reminder that in addition to the 30% off all online courses sale this month, we wanted to also give a 20% off sale on our physical merch all December. We got shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more on the merch shelf below, and we got a lot more on the website, so check them out and use the code WINTER20 for 20% off. On top of that, I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of December in 2024. I appreciate you guys a ton. It's been great getting to know you. And yeah, I'm just humbled by your support. And if you guys haven't thought about joining the Patreon community before, there's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. And I look forward to seeing you over there on the platform. Peace.